Hey everybody, how's it going? The way that this reading is going to work is that we will see who the first zodiac sign is out, and that's who the reading will be for. And if we don't have a zodiac sign coming out, then this will be a collective reading. We're starting off with Four of Wands. I feel like I haven't seen Four of Wands in a long time. Okay, this reading is for Scorpio. We have the Death card coming out. Okay, Four of Wands and Death can be the end of a marriage, it can be the end of a relationship, it can be the end of a living situation, it can be the end of a contract, it can be the end of an era. I feel like with the Four of Wands, it can be something that was more connected with like your routine that can be changing in a big way. So it means like it can affect home, or it can affect relationships, or it can affect work, or it can affect your day-to-day. I feel more so like your day-to-day is going to be majorly impacted by this. This can also feel a little bit destabilizing because when we have the Four of Wands, we can feel stability. Even if this is just like the status quo of something can be changing, you know? It can be like things were established and this is how things were, and now something is happening where there's going to be a big change going on around here, you know? So Death card it can be like the ending of that chapter as it was, because a new chapter is emerging. So it will be something along those lines where with the Four of Wands, it feels like something that was going on for a while and that was kind of the norm and that was kind of regular for you. And now having the Death card means something big is happening and there's a big shift because of that. You know, can be making room for the new energy. You may not know how this change is going to impact things. Maybe it's a time when you know that things are changing, but you don't know what that's going to look like. Like, you know change is happening, you know it's coming, you know that you're kind of like in the middle of it, at the beginning of it, like somewhere in between. But as far as what things are going to look like when you come out on the other side, I don't think that you have a clear idea about that, and that's fine. Like, this feels like it's just the nature of the situation that you're in, where it can be, like, you really don't have enough information yet to be able to really know what's happening. And I see there also being this, like, unknown element to things as well, where that can also be why it's hard to have like a concrete, clear, solid idea of what things are going to look like. You know, you can be going in a direction that is unexplored. And so because of that, it's like you're going to find out as you move through this. But for right now, it can just seem kind of dark or hazy as far as what's going to be happening. Dark meaning unknown. Like, hasn't been revealed yet. What's behind the moon is the Lovers. So this can mean that there are important choices that are going to be coming up, but it can be ones that you're not seeing yet. This also can highlight important dynamics and relationships and information in general that hasn't gotten to yet, but it's on its way. This feels like it's soon going to be coming into the picture, though. See a highlight on relationships. so far the way that the cards are coming out, Scorpio, is it looks like how things were before. You may have been really in a place of flow with that. So to be having this change happen right now, it can be something where you're going to be building something new. I don't necessarily see there be an issue with the way that things were before. It just feels like it's time for the next chapter to start. So it can be something where it's like maybe you thoroughly enjoyed what that was, and now also changes on the horizon, and so it's just like time for you to be moving into the next chapter, and you can't, it's like the state of things before, for some reason you can't carry that over with you. I see something about relationships, connections, partnerships that you're going to be working with, but I'm seeing that these things have not entered the scene yet, but that it's going to be part of this shift that you're going through, and it seems like it's all somehow connected with one another. Yeah, you know what this is feeling like to me? When you're good with something, we can want to kind of stay there forever and like relish within that, because there is a feeling of like really deeply enjoying that and we feel connected with it. And then we can stop creating because of that, or we stop growing. I see like creativity being a big part of this. And I think that this is a time which can also connect with like what you have to offer to the world, and like explore within yourself, and like things that you can tap into, and the expansive nature of this. This is a time where you're going to be pushed to expand, and it can be something where you were like, I like the way that things were before and that felt good to me. And also, it feels like it's a period that's happening now that's going to push you to expand. So even though you could have been fine with things the way that they were before, it seems like this is happening so you can go further, so you can explore more. And so without this thing happening, I don't think that it would push you. And there are certain important things that this is going to push you into that your soul on some level wants. But you know, when we go through a change, it takes time for the ego to adjust to that. And so that can be something that's coming up here that you can be feeling, you know, it can be like the loss and the grieving of that, or like the letting go of it, the coming to terms that there is a big change that's happening. And then I'm seeing like a lot of significant stuff that's going to be taking place. Some of you can be like collaborating with some important people, working with some important people, exploring some really important dynamics. I feel like relationships are actually going to play a really big part in what you're going to be connecting with, and that there's stuff that's going to be happening. Like there's going to be learning that's going to be happening. But I see there's also going to be, there can be like relationship dynamics, but I see stuff about like working with another person or working with other people. And it can be like multiple different dynamics that you have, that there's going to be a lot of connection and attention going into that. I want to say this again. This looks like stuff that you don't know about yet that you are going to be getting into, because it's behind the moon. This can be something that when it comes time, these things are going to fall into place, but right now you may have like no idea about this. So just know that if you're listening to the reading and you're like, I don't know like what relationship she's talking about, I'm seeing that this stuff looks like it hasn't come up yet, but that it is soon to be happening for you. And some of you guys, it can be like maybe you're going to be working on projects with these people. Maybe this is just going to be life stuff, but I feel like there's a lot that you're going to learn about yourself. Whether this is, I'm learning a lot about my values, I'm learning a lot about my principles, I'm learning a lot about my skills and my talents, I'm learning more about my creativity. It will be in the realm of Venus, which is about enjoyment, love, pleasure, and the ways that we bring beauty into our lives and the ways that we spread that beauty to others. And so whether this just be like showing up, learning how to be like more loving and more connected with yourself and learning more about yourself in that sense, like in a relational type of way, and or it be in a creative way, and you're going to be exploring these parts of yourself that it's kind of like the situation that you were before that had levels to it, and you got to a point where you completed those levels, and so now you're going to the next situation where you're going to be exploring these themes. It feels like similar themes that you were exploring before, that is just going to be taken to another level. But without maybe this thing happening, you could have possibly been like, I'm happy to just stay here and content to stay here, at least like from the ego's perspective, you know, because it can feel like comfortable. And I'm not saying there be any issue. It seems like it was pretty harmonious the way that things were. Now with this shift happening, it can feel a bit uncomfortable initially, but this is going to be the type of thing that when you get involved with it, you'll be happy, because you'll be like, I would have never like experienced this if I wasn't led in this direction, if I wasn't guided, if I wasn't pushed, you know, like if things didn't fall out in this way, this would have never happened. So I'm seeing that be a big part of things, where once you get there, you're going to be happy that that's what you're doing and that's what you're connecting with, and it's going to make sense. But until you see that, it can be a time when you're like, you know, things were like fine the way that they were. But yeah, you're going to get further along within this, and you're going to be happy because of what it's going to bring together. And I see some stuff that's really going to feel like it brings a lot of like life and brings a lot of breath to you. Seeing Empress be connected with Scorpio, I think that this is Venus and this is Scorpio. It can, there can be like a whole new side of yourself that you end up discovering. This can be relationships that are very different than what you'd been connecting with before. It can be dynamics that are very different that you're going to be exploring. Can be sides of your skill sets that are going to be developed that you were like, I didn't even know that I like had that within me, or that I was capable of doing that. So I think that you're going to be, there's something about tapping more into something that I feel like you've, again, already been exploring themes of that, but that there's going to be more of this. And I think you're going to become more, I feel like identified isn't the right word. It looks like an energy that you're going to be channeling more than you were before, that it's going to feel really good to connect with this, because Venus feels good to connect with. And I'm seeing like the sun is going to be connected with that too. I feel like there are things about yourself that you have to share and experience still, that this is really going to bring that up from within you, and that it will be a really, like, you're really gonna like that experience, what this brings up for you. Okay, but it can be kind of, yeah, I definitely get like a destabilizing, where you can be like, I kind of had everything just so, and now the whole thing is shifting around, and I can't really glue it back together, and so it's gonna have to be like completely new. It's like, yeah, it's like an earthquake comes and just like, it breaks things down so much that sometimes there's like a little earthquake that happens and you get like cracks and things, and then you go and fix them and it can kind of go back to how it was before. This feels like it's going to be very new and very different. So it's not really going to be like the same at all as it was before. So it's going to bring you into a very different space. There will be, especially in the way that it feels. It's going to feel very different for you. And I think this is going to be new as well. Like this will be something that doesn't feel the most familiar to you, but in a good way is the way that this is coming through. But it can maybe even, you know, like having death and having Mars, there can be a bit of a crisis situation or just something that feels very disruptive or very jarring in some way, or like a very big change, or it can just be something that feels very intense and feels very powerful the way that this can be. But I also see there can be like a feeling of amazement to this. There can be Mars and the Sun. There can be a feeling of surprise. There can be a really charged energy where there's a lot of momentum behind this too. That can be something as well. You know what I find interesting about this is that having Four of Wands and having the Empress, but then having Death in the Tower next to it, it seems like if you were to only look at things from where you're standing now, you may look at things and be like, it's fine like this. And I think what you're going to realize as you get further down the timeline is you're going to look back at it and be really grateful that this shift took place. And I think you're going to have a much different perspective of things and think that it would be like kind of a tragedy for things to have stayed that way. Even though right now there can be a feeling of like, I was kind of fine with it. This looks like in retrospect, you are going to come back to it and look at it and be like, I can't believe that I would have like stayed within that, like in that way, because I feel so different about things now. Like there's going to be a whole lot of meaning that's going to be given to things, and from the new perspective that you're going to have, just I think it's important for you to keep an open mind with this. That like maybe right now you look at something and you're like, it's fine the way that it was, and also to be saying that that can be your truth in a moment, and then being open-minded enough for that to possibly change when you get some new perspective about things from a different vantage point. This can be new roles that you're going to be exploring. It can be new or different responsibilities that you're going to be exploring. New things that you can, new or different things that you're going to be taking on. This feels like stuff that you haven't done before, or that it's going to be different in some way. Okay, we have so many zodiac signs here, so I'm going to go through all of them. I want to pull 2 more cards out. This seems like whatever this thing that's going on, I feel like it's placing you somewhere very specific. Like it's doing something where the energy, it's getting the energy very concentrated. Okay, so having 4 of Cups on the bottom of the deck, I'd say that right now you may not be the happiest with what's going on. You know, you could feel sad, you could feel bummed, you could just like not really like what's happening. You may not feel the most thrilled with it. I think that this can be bringing up stuff for you that is having to be addressed, because I am seeing a 3 of Swords here and it's connected with the Sun, which means that there can be stuff that you're gaining awareness over and you can't really get away from it. So this is stuff that's happening and there's really no way to escape it. And so it's stuff that you have to feel and you have to deal with it and you have to process it. And so like something's going on right now that's really bringing that about for you. I'm getting this message coming through. This may not be the case for everybody, but some of you guys are going to go through an experience. It feels like it has to do with this. And you may end up becoming like very religious or spiritual after going through this. Or it can be something like that, where it can be like you develop some very, very like maybe strict rules that you start living by, or you like devote yourself to something very particular. I get that type of energy coming through. So we have Scorpio here, we have Taurus, Gemini, and Pisces, and then I'm also seeing Mars and I'm seeing the Sun. This is something that will incite action on your end, whatever this is that's going on, but it can come through in a way that feels maybe startling and shocking the way that this happens. You know, it feels like it blows certain things out of the water even, and so I think that it can change the way that you maybe see yourself within your life. Having the moon above King of Pentacles, this can be bringing you into a space where you can be searching for maybe deeper or higher meaning. Even like that can be something that gets brought up for you. There can be stuff about obligations, relationships, commitments, spiritual contracts that you have with people, having lovers above the Hierophant. And there can also be stuff about like relational wounding that can be coming up too. And then stuff about trying to like patch things up or trying to work on things or like make things better. Even that can be something. You can be working more with like visions that you have, that you like imagine for yourself, that you want for yourself. You can be getting more clear about this. This can be pushing you into a space where you become more decisive and more action oriented with things, where there's no more like putting things off. Some of you guys, there could be something that is happening with a parent or an authority figure that could play into this too for some of you guys. It doesn't have to be that, but it can be one of the ways that this manifests. Or a partner. But yeah, I think that it's pushing you into a space where you can be exploring your beliefs, you can be exploring what you're devoted to, what you're committed to, why you feel the way that you do, getting to the bottom of those things, where there can be a questioning that maybe wasn't happening before. And yeah, for some of you guys, I'm getting something about like you may become more like spiritual or something like that. Or you may like connect with a community and get very, very involved in that community. It's something like that type of thing. Or you may end up like going into an area of study that you become very devoted to. It's going to be something kind of like subject related, or this can be about what you give power to, what you give authority to, and exploring that. There can be something about like philosophical exploration that can be part of it too. Your own understanding of maybe like your foundation that you work from and out of. And always with the Hierophant, there can be a moral spin on things too. That can be something that comes up too. But yeah, I find it very interesting that behind the moon, that the lovers are behind the moon. So I get that there's somebody that you're going to be working very closely with, that I don't feel, it's either like the dynamic isn't in the picture yet, or the person isn't in the picture, or even if you know this person, you haven't been working with them in this way, in this capacity, but you guys are going to be working together, working on something together, doing something. But you don't see that now. It's something that's going to be coming up. This feels more like a partnership type of thing. And partnership, it can be anything. It just feels more like a one-on-one dynamic to me. So there can be somebody that maybe you become like very close with, or like there's something really core and foundational that you have in common with this person, and it seems like it's gonna help you like even work through something that's associated with an event that's like in the midst of taking place right now. And maybe it's gonna help you understand certain things. Also, having Venus be connected with Scorpio, there can be a really big shift in your relationships right now. So there can be like some very pivotal changes that are taking place that, yeah, it's something connected with like the status quo and how things were before, and how there's a change that's taking place, which means that like dynamics can be changing, relationships can be changing. They can kind of be transforming into something that's like never before what you've experienced. And it feels like it's leading into there being certain ways that you're going to be showing up, and I feel like you weren't doing this before. So it can be like, okay, now you're responsible for this, or now this is expected of you, now you're stepping into this, and so you're going to have to do this, this, and that. And this can even be like with a particular person, like maybe there's a way that something happens within the dynamic, and you're playing a role with somebody that you've never played before. But there's also something that feels kind of tricky about whatever this situation is. So even though it can be something difficult, I'm seeing a lot that you can learn from this. So it can be challenging for that reason, where it's like it's kind of hard to move through this. But at the same time, there can be some really important stuff that you end up gaining from it that can overall maybe like help your perspective on life to evolve in some foundational type of way. But yeah, it can come in the form of some like difficult life thing that you're moving through right now. So it can feel like a disruptive time. A lot of movement and a lot of shifting. Kind of like how things were, they're not like that anymore. And you can maybe be having a hard time like making that adjustment. Yeah, I even see something get split apart here. Like maybe there's something even about a separation. It's like something that was together before and even maybe bound or like bonded that gets broken. Or there's some type of really big change. It's something where it's like the way that things functioned before, they don't function the same way anymore. And there can be added stress because of like the factor of unknown things. You know, when it's a time that can feel kind of unclear, there are unknowns to the situation that you're in. You may not even know what's going to be asked of you, what's going to be needed of you. It can feel unpredictable. So you know this change is happening. There's an element of unpredictability about that, but there's also this air of responsibility and maybe even like needing to step up. So having that be happening now, there can be like, you don't necessarily know what's going to be needed from you, what's going to be asked of you, but you know that you kind of have to be there. You know, it's like nobody else is going to be there. It's going to have to be you. It feels like that. And so, yeah, this can be really stressing you out. And what might this be? It can be like responsibility wise. There are tasks that need to be done. Some of you, this can be like the financial strain that's being put on things. Others of you, it's like the obligation that you can be feeling to something that you're committed to, and the expectations and that feeling of pressure that you can be experiencing. Because there can also be this element of like, you want to be dependable, you want to be reliable, you want to be like trusted to show up, you want to be effective, you want to be responsible. But I think not being given like the handbook on what's exactly needed from you, this can be where your mind is kind of just taking off in this situation. Because it's not like here, here, and here. Like, I need you to be here on this day doing this for this amount of time, and that's the game plan. There's something about you can't really have a game plan with this situation. So you have to be like very adaptable, which can also throw things off too. Because this feels like you're not really able to have like established expectations of this situation that you're in. And that can be something that you don't like. You may like things to be more regular, more organized, more like just simplistic. And this feels like it's complicated and messy. And some of you guys, there can even be like another person that you're working with that is part of another person or other people that you're working with that are part of this, that kind of all have to be like working together. Kind of on the same page even. Interesting. Three of Swords is going in with Temperance, so maybe you feel like you are in the middle of addressing something that, how does this feel to address? It can be something complicated that you're addressing and processing. It can be something painful that you're addressing and processing. It can be something you feel uneasy about that you're addressing and processing. It's basically a healing that's taking place, and whatever it is that's coming up that then you feel like you need to be like healing from. I see something too about like everybody doing their part and that having something to do with this as well. Okay. All right. We are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.